Kamala is just so certainly our girl, you know. I can see her being Prez. I'm so excited. I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Yesterday was a whites-only segregated meeting of Democrats. Now, I know I could be streaming a show from the mid-19th century with that kind of intro, but no, it really is 2024, and I don't think we were streaming back in the mid-19th century. But I want to give you a taste of just how cringe White Dudes for Harris was.
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Over the last few years, you know, I've been thinking a lot about men.
I'm not sure if you guys can recall that feeling you had on the night of Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I stood over my kid's bed and I wept.
White nationalists in MAGA, they want to speak for you specifically as white men.
In the marginalized communities that educate me every single day, that this is a constant education for all of us.
Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain, of agony, of hope, of frustration. And no matter how high she jumps, no matter how many degrees she has, no matter how good her grades are, she's never good enough because they're always moving the line.
What a variety of whiteness we have here, with like a rainbow of beige.
But man, I am scared to death of what the future could look like if we go back to another Trump administration, one that truly left working construction white men behind.
You've seen it with congressional leaders who have called Vice President Harris a DEI candidate.
Of course, men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care.
Let's be clear about who Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are. Donald Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and a congenital liar. He's a fraud. And J.D. Vance is his mini-me. I even created my own cognitive test that describes the two of them: sofa, dolphin, shark, cats, convict.
Real men respect women, their decisions, their careers. And it's pretty clear that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't.
A woman president, man, how exciting.
If there is a God, she's a terrible writer.
One day, we all will be asked what we did to stop this MAGA movement. What will your answer be?
All right. Good job, Brianna Morello, by the way, in the Daily Caller. That's a great compilation. I do want to just touch on the very beginning of it because I think it needs a little bit of commentary if we could. First,
I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Yes, that is the dude from The Big Lebowski, and I'm just as disappointed as you are. Moving on.
Over the last few years, you know, I've been thinking a lot about men.
I think that speaks for itself. Although I do want to point out that nothing says a bunch of dudes getting together and hanging out like the man with the scrawny beard that he can't grow, giant glasses that make his head look like a walnut, and a man bun, I believe he's sporting there in his studio apartment in New York. Oh, maybe it's a loft because I do see stairs right behind him. I'm shocked that this wasn't brought to you by Acme soy products. But it turns out the actual advertiser here was Maxi Pads. I had no idea. That's interesting. I guess they thought they were going to be reaching their demographic for this one. And this one, by the way, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off. You know, nothing says the regular working man like sitting poolside in LA with your palm trees, your pink polo, your sunglasses. Thanks for taking those off for us, Josh. And not even bothering to frame your camera so that you're in the center of the shot. That's Josh Gad, by the way. Gay man, actor. You know him best as the voice of the most annoying Disney character ever created. And that's saying something. That stupid little snowman from Frozen. So every time you spend money on Disney and Disney products, you're helping this guy. And that's White Dudes for Harris. But there's a couple of these moments that I really do want to bring. And by the way, did you catch the theme there? Did you catch the theme? It's all fear. It's all fear. It's all, we're here to talk about how great Kamala Harris is. Now let's trash Trump. It's all fear. That's all they've got. But I do want to pull out a couple of these moments here. Take a look.
When I first saw the white dudes for Harris byline, I thought, oh, that's a little cringy. And I realized my own bias, which is we hear about white men congregating and we think of tiki torches and AR-15s and the Klan. And I think it's a really beautiful opportunity for us to take back that identity from those bands of bigots and misogynists, because they don't define who we are.
That's so wise. You know, I hadn't really ever thought of it that way. We need to take back the idea of a bunch of white people getting together and segregating ourselves from black people and show it to be the pure, wonderful, inclusive thing that it really is. Because they can't define, those white bigots shouldn't be allowed to define who we are. But of course, they're the ones who define white people. Aren't they the ones who, you know, whenever they show the Republican National Convention and it is a majority white gathering, and they say, look, it looks like a Klan meeting. I mean, they're the ones who are constantly injecting their own racist perspectives on everything that they see in society. And now he's deciding that since we're getting together on behalf of Kamala, well, that makes our segregation virtuous. You really do need to have brain damage to follow along their thought process. And then I don't know if you caught this in the middle of that montage from Daily Caller, but I really do want to draw attention to it. As usual, when you're having a Congress of white dudes for Kamala, you're by definition going to have a whole lot of gay guys showing up. And here's the most prominent gay man in America. No, not RuPaul. Of course, you know who I mean. Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete. And and again with the camera angle, why does he think, what is he trying to be? He looks like Mr. Bean, doesn't he? He looks like Mr. Bean, but sounds like Kermit the Frog. And here he wants to convey to everybody how critically important it is for men to vote for Kamala Harris, because Kamala will bring back the beautiful, ethical, moral act of killing babies that men create before they're born, so that men can be free and unburdened by fatherhood. This, of course, is coming from the gay man who rented out a woman's uterus to create a baby for himself. There's a sentence that's not often uttered, but should be more often, I think.
I'm so glad she has made freedom the theme of her campaign, because I think in so many ways that's what's at stake. And yes, women's freedom is Exhibit A after Donald Trump demolished the right to choose. But of course, men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care.
Wow. That is, I mean, I do love it when they admit what they really stand for. Quick correction here on the language. Donald Trump did not abolish the right to choose. There never actually was a right to choose, just so you know. And what Donald Trump did was appoint Supreme Court justices who evaluated a case in front of them and found that this bogus idea of Roe v. Wade and the right to choose was an invention and should have never have happened. And so they reversed that with the Dobbs decision. That's a beautiful thing. And now each state is allowed to actually have the choice to vote on abortion in their own way, which is how our founders intended. But that's okay. They just need to warp the language as much as possible. But you did catch the last part of it there, right? Where men have freedom because of abortion.
Men are also more free in a country where we have a president who stands up for things like access to abortion care.
There you go. So, I mean, this is supposed to, I guess, appeal to, well, this was the men's only club. So maybe this is just supposed to appeal to the men. Hey, guys, it's just us talking. Go ahead and screw around however much you want. Get women pregnant. There will be no strings attached, no circumstances, no consequences, because we'll just kill that baby. But go ahead and screw around with as many women as you want. And I do love that message is being delivered by the gay dude. But at least we know what they say. I mean, listen, you can never tell me that they don't have any principles. They do stand for something. That's what they stand for. And then there was, as you saw, a lot of people from Hollywood who showed up in this. And to say that it's disappointing to see people that you respected and had great fondness for based on how well they were able to pretend and play make-believe on camera turn out to be just morally bankrupt lunatics, it hurts. Now, sadly, over many years now, we have grown to know that Mark Hamill is a complete and total lunatic. But he really outdid himself on this segregated racist call. Watch.
They want to do, get rid of the Department of Education completely. They're going to try and remake what we know as democracy into an autocracy. It's no surprise that he idolizes Viktor Orban and the dictators of the world. That's what he yearns to be. Again, he said it out loud that he wants to be a dictator from day one. So never has it been more important for us to stand up to his mental illness and vote for Kamala in 2024.
Well, it does take an expert in mental illness to be able to project that kind of diagnosis, I suppose. Maybe Luke did some shots over there at the cantina before he turned his webcam on. Real fast, just for clarity's sake, because I don't like it when lies are just spewed out there. Donald Trump never said he wanted to be a dictator from day one. What he said in a very flippant and sarcastic way when Sean Hannity asked if he was going to be a dictator, he said, only on the first day. On day one, I'm going to, do this and this and this and set up people to investigate that. And again, back to something I said earlier in the program, when Trump makes jokes and he says things like that, he should be cognizant of the fact that, people are going to take this stuff. So they keep saying he's going to be a dictator from day one. No, he jokingly said on day one, I'll do this. And then after that, from that point forward, of course not. That said, Luke Skywalker here, Mark Hamill, is completely unhinged and frankly, not very bright. And I say that not because I'm just throwing a pejorative at him. I actually, years and years and years ago, worked on a show, Broadway show with Mark Hamill. It was a play called The Nerd. It was at the Helen Hayes Theater. I worked at that theater in the front of house staff. He was one of the actors in the show. I got to see him firsthand back in 1991, I want to say. He's not very bright. That's all. But he's Luke Skywalker. So, of course, he's included in this call. And did you notice how sort of like free-flowing he was, and he didn't obviously take notes. He didn't know what he was doing. He was just going off. But boy, he just unhinged attack on Donald Trump. There's something about being in that white-only space that really, really brings out the best of Mark Hamill. He should probably pray about that a little bit. And now this next one, I'm beyond sad and disappointed to relay to you. I don't know anything about this actor, Sean Astin, other than the great work that he's done. Some of you may love him, of course, as Rudy, right? The little plucky Notre Dame kid who volunteered to be on the practice squad and then his moment in the sun there for the Golden Domers. Or, of course, if you're a father my age, as I am, you probably know him as the voice of Secret Agent Ojo. But forever, he'll be immortalized as Samwise Gamgee, right?
Yep.
Is that right? Gamgee, yeah. Sam in Lord of the Rings. He's brilliant in that. He's wonderful. He'll break your heart as Sam in Lord of the Rings. And boy, he just broke my heart too.
He was always coming back to be with his men's group. I think they had more than white men in that group. So, but the idea that men can gather to talk about how we feel, interesting, powerful concept. And to include all, we said in our invitation, everyone is welcome. That's a really interesting phrase. Everyone is welcome. You might hear it in other places. I'm pretty sure you can feel that it's true here with this particular political party and this particular candidate.
Well, that was just drivel, but what are you going to do? Let me just say, this whole concept of white women for Kamala, white dudes for Kamala, this whole thing, if it rubs you sort of odd and weird and you're a little repulsed by it, good. That's normal. You should be repulsed by it. This whole idea that it's okay for us all to get together and have our own space and just talk amongst ourselves about politics. Why does the left have to make everything so bizarre? Why do liberals have to like overthink this crap? I mean, there's nothing new and innovative about men getting together and hanging out and just being themselves and talking about stuff that they probably wouldn't talk about with women around, except for the fact for the last 30, 40 years, the political left in this country has demonized men for wanting to do that. And they've tried to make men's only clubs, segregated or abolished. And now suddenly men are like liberal men, left-wing men are like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's do a big deal about it and let's raise money. And the only, by the way, the only breakthrough for them that has got them to this place where they can say it's a fantastic thing for men only to get together is if they're doing it in support of a woman's maniacal political career. But if you see the way they talk to each other and you are sort of repulsed by the fact that they all treat each other in such an infantilized way. We played the clip yesterday of the woman who literally is a kindergarten teacher. And for the next 4 years of your life, you're going to have women like that running the country, talking to you like you're 5 years old. If that bothers you, good. Our friend Mary Catherine Ham, a town hall alum, now a Fox News contributor, she sort of took up the talk to voters like a 5-year-old style to make a satirical point, and it's brilliant, and I want you to see it.
Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. It seems like we've had a little misunderstanding. Sounds like some of you have some silly goose thoughts about race-segregated political meetings. Catch a bubble. We do have special meetings for white women and white men. These people are gathering because they don't want to, does anybody know? Because they don't want to be around people of other races? No, that is a super sad choice of how to characterize that. They're gathering together because they don't want Republicans elected. We have to fight white supremacy, friends, by joining white-only groups of friends. I know that sounds ironic, but if we put our listening ears on, we can learn about racism for the right reasons. That's what we're doing. Got it? And I'm not gonna let your unkindness mess with other people's joy in their whites only meetings. Can you do? No, you cannot do this. No one else can do this. Only Democrats can safely gather in whites only affinity groups with matching hats. There's no history there. Do you have some big feelings about that? Okay, maybe this will make you feel better. Yes, there are, of course, meetings for Democrats of all other races. The meetings are separate but equal.
Yeah, that was pretty brilliant. Love Mary Catherine. And of course, that's satire. But even in a satirical setting, it's so annoying. So I'm glad she ended the video there because a little bit of it goes a long way.